Hey guys, this is Larry with Handheld Rehab, and I'm going to do a really fast video here. I got a customer that's asking me about some iPad Air 1 and ports. What's happening? It looks like he's doing some screen replacements. And then after he does the screen replacement, maybe some time goes by, whatever, and he comes back in and the iPad stopped charging, and I guess he's getting blamed for that. So he was kind of asking about it, and I just want to do a real fast video. This is an iPad Air. The 5th gen and the 6th gen also have the same issue. And so whenever you pull the digitizer off, and all I've done to this one here, I've not done anything to it except pull the digitizer and the LCD out of it and disconnect the battery from the board. And so almost every time you pull these things apart, these two screws are going to be loose. And you can see these right here, how loose they are now. I've not done anything to that. I've actually seen these screws waller the frame out so bad that you couldn't even tighten this little piece back in here. It's a little adapter that goes from the frame to the flex. But anytime you pull these apart, one thing you should always do is tighten these screws, because I guarantee you they're always going to be loose. And so whenever they get loose and you plug your charging cable up, when it starts moving, you can see how the frame is flexing and how the flex will actually move on the frame itself. You can see it's moving there, and what that does over time is it causes this flex to crack right up in here. So you can see how much movement we got there. And this one here, this iPad here actually came in for a bad PMIC. So the flex actually looks pretty good on this one, even though it's been loose. But anytime I pull these apart, the first thing I always do is I tighten these screws up as tight as I can, and that will help to alleviate some of the issues with this. I don't know if Apple didn't put any Loctite on these screws or why these things are so notorious to back out, but these two screws always back out on the iPad Air 5th and 6th gen. And it's a little bit different on the iPad Air 2s, in the new Pro models. That's not what that is. Let's see. This is a 9.7 Pro, and on the 9.7 Pro they got a different bracket system in here, and you don't get that flex that you do on the iPad Air 1. I mean, it just doesn't flex as much. It doesn't allow the cable to move as much. So you don't really have a problem with the Air 2s or the Pro models. I've got some flexes. I just pulled some out of the trash. The first ones I just came to, and we'll look at some of those a little bit closer. And so what I was saying is, this plastic piece is the port where you plug your charging cable in, and it comes back here and it solders on this flex. And if you're just looking at it without a scope, you probably won't see anything, but with a scope you'll actually see this crack that runs across through here. And this port solders on this flex, and these are the contacts, and so this contact comes through here. That's where that one is. These come out to this trace, these come out to this trace, and so on. And you can actually see how that's cracked and how it's not making connection. And I mean, I've got it bent pretty severely here, but that's what happens to them. I mean, so that's the reason sometimes you can move your cable up and down. It'll charge sometimes, and then it'll stop charging. So that's the first port I came to. Here's another one, exact same thing. You see the stress marks on it here, and when you bend it, I mean, it's just, that's where they break from that movement up and down. The next one, exact same stress marks. There's a white one. You can see the same marks. This is where they always break. They'll break either here or they'll break back in here. And I mean, you can see those stress marks on that, and that's exactly what the issue is. whenever they stop charging. I mean, you're really going to have 3 charging issues with the iPad Air and 5th and 6th gen. You're either going to have a charging port, or you're going to have a TriStar, or you're going to have a bad PMIC. Generally, one of those 3 is what's going to be bad. This one here isn't real bad, but you can see here we've got 2 of the traces that have cracks in them. So if you get somebody coming in for a screen replacement, you replace their screen and they come back sometime after and blaming the fact that it's not charging on you, it's not, in my opinion, the shop's fault. You just happen to be the one that worked on it and got the finger pointed towards you. But I mean, it's just a characteristic of the iPad Air 1, the 5th and 6th gen. They all use this same port. It's just a bad design. In each one of the models, those 2 screws I talked about will be loose, and this is just a characteristic of that particular model. So anyway, just hope to kind of clear that up a little bit and explain why you're seeing that. So hope that helps. Have a great day, guys. Thanks.